Let's take a look at the travel request and reimbursement workflow in Concur. We're going to summarize the whole process from beginning to end because if you know the destinations along the path, it's easier to understand the little steps along the way. And don't worry, step-by-step guides are available to show you how to complete each part of the process. To start, you need to decide if a travel request is required. Travel requests are required if you're traveling out of state, out of the country, or when you need a cash advance. The Division of Finance travel policy doesn't require a travel request for in-state travel, but your agency or supervisor may, so double check with them. If you need to complete a travel request, log into Concur and open a travel request. This is where you note where you're traveling, when you plan to leave and return, and why you need to travel. You can also indicate if you'll be combining personal travel with business travel. Once you've entered the where, when, and why into the travel request header, you can add your expected expenses. If you need a cash advance, complete the cash advance section and include the amount of the advance before you submit the travel request. Once you've submitted your travel request, Concur will send the request to your budget officer, who will verify that your agency can afford the travel request. After the budget officer approves the request, it will be sent to your supervisor and division director, who will approve the business trip based on the estimated expenses. If you're traveling out of state, the travel request will also be sent to the executive director for approval. If you're traveling out of the country, the travel request will be sent to the executive director and the governor's chief of staff for approval. Once your travel request has been approved by all required approvers, you can begin booking travel accommodations like flights, hotels, or rental cars. You can book flights, hotels, and rental cars in Concur. You may also book travel accommodations through the state travel office. If you requested a cash advance in your travel request, your cash advance will be issued 7 days before your first day of travel, the same way you receive your paycheck, through direct deposit or a mailed check. While traveling on state business, make sure to keep your receipts. If you like, you can email your receipts to Concur at receipts@concurrsolutions.com. Concur tracks the email that sent the receipt and sends the receipt to the correct account. Before you can use this feature, you need to verify your email address in Concur. You can verify up to 3 email addresses. When you email receipts from any of your verified email addresses, Concur will send the receipts to your account. When your trip is over and you're ready to submit a reimbursement request, log into Concur, open your travel request, and choose Create Expense Report. This will pull the travel allowance and the information from the travel request header into the reimbursement request. If you didn't create a travel request, you can click the Start a Report or Create New Report button and start a reimbursement request from scratch. Enter the when, where, and why of your trip, and now you're ready to report your expenses. You'll need to add details about each expense from your trip. One important detail is the expense type. The expense type is the category the expense falls under, like parking, lodging, or taxes. Sometimes you'll have a few expenses on one receipt that need to be labeled with different expense types. Let's say you stayed at a hotel in Utah and you paid for parking at the hotel. The hotel gave you one receipt with charges for lodging, parking, and taxes. When this happens, you'll need to itemize the expense in Concur so that each item on the receipt is labeled correctly. When you submit your reimbursement request, it will be sent to the budget officer, who will verify that the correct expense types were selected and the correct billing information was used when itemizing and allocating expenses. After the budget officer approves it, the reimbursement request will move to your supervisor and division director for approval. If your reimbursement total is 125% more than the total on your approved travel request, your reimbursement request will also be sent to the executive director for approval. Once everyone has approved the reimbursement request, Concur will automatically send it to the state's accounting system, FINET. FINET will process the reimbursement that evening, and you'll receive your reimbursement payment the same way that you receive your paycheck, through direct deposit or a mailed check. And that's the travel request and reimbursement workflow from beginning to end. Step-by-step guides are available to show you how to complete each part of the travel request and reimbursement request process. You can find these guides on our website in the Concur Help section.